Midwives.
Midwives, uncut.
All right. Oh, you know what? I wrote down the paper. Today's topic. Hi, guys. Welcome to our a little delayed, but still a very interesting topic today, which is what, Sandy?
Debunking old wives' tales.
Yes. And I have my little notes. I'm going to grab that paper while you talk because I totally forgot. I wrote it down, then I moved rooms. By the way, this is Midwives Uncut COVID editions. So the backgrounds are not what we would love. We're not together, which we would love. So just bear with us in our.
You might have children in the background.
Right. You might, especially in this house. My house is absolutely, it's like a circus. It's never controlled. So just bear with me. 1 second. I might even like turn my camera off while you go ahead and, no, I can't do that. So you're just going to have to deal with it. I'm going to grab the paper. I'll be right back.
Yes, debunking old wives' tales. A lot of times moms come to us and they tell us, well, you know, my aunt told me this, or my mom said I had to do this. You know, there's a lot of information. You know, there's a lot of old wives' tales when it comes to pregnancy, when it comes to birth, and oh my goodness, when it comes to breastfeeding. I swear, I feel like I've heard them all. I was I was victim of some of those when I had my first baby. My mother-in-law said I had to eat oatmeal every day and drink Malta to produce breast milk. And I hate Malta. It's disgusting.
Malta, I got too. And I actually liked it. I liked it.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, and it's an acquired taste, but
Well,
it felt like it helped though.
I think I have an aversion to Malta because my mom used to make me drink like once a month. She would get Malta, a raw egg, and sugar.
Oh God.
Any Hispanics watching this right now, you guys will know what I mean. I had to drink that. Like, I was gagging the entire time. So when she said Malta, I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. So
I've never heard of it with the egg. Although in a Greek, I don't know if all Greeks do it, but I grew up with egg yolk and sugar beaten really, really well. And we ate that for breakfast. And I used to crave it. It was so good. Oh my gosh. Now,
well, because
I don't even know how.
Frosting out of that, merengue. They make it out of egg and sugar.
Well, you know, the sugar cooks the egg, so it's not like, you know, raw. Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've never heard that.
My mother makes it for my kids.
Huh.
Yeah, we call it dug, 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 because it used to be the sound that the yayas would make when they would whip it. Dug, 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 dug. And so we called it the dug, dug, dug. Yeah, it was very good. High protein, I guess, if you think about it, right? Yeah, okay, so let's start with some of the pregnancy ones, and then we'll go to the lactation.
Breastfeeding.
Yeah. Yes. So we looked up a few, and we, of course, have heard so many in our years of our practice. But and this happened to me. Everybody was like, "Oh, well, you're pregnant, so you're eating for 2 now. You should be doubling everything you eat." And that's if you want to be 500 pounds when you're pregnant and not necessarily very healthy.
Or 200 with my first son at birth. So yeah, that wasn't good.
Well, I gained the most with my first one because I was not properly, I wasn't a midwife. I didn't even know what a midwife was at that time. I was not properly guided with nutrition. I remember the OB and I loved him very much, but nutrition was lacking. He said to me, well, instead of like 2 Whoppers, just have 1. That was the nutritional counseling that I got when I gained 65 pounds with my first pregnancy.
Wow. You know, now that I think of it, my son is 15. So 15 years ago, almost 16, I guess. I don't remember ever getting any nutritional counseling, ever. No. The only nutritional counseling I got was from my grandmother and from my mom, that they just wanted me to eat like rice, beans and steak and, you know, chicken.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That was it. But I knew that I wasn't supposed to eat sushi.
Right.
And that was it. Like, there was no other nutritional counseling. I remember, my OB, I loved her, but we didn't really talk much about any of that stuff. No one ever told.
Soft cheeses, that was another thing. Don't eat soft cheeses. And then I think they also used to tell me to stay away from cold cuts. I don't remember, but basically that all of that had to do with the listeria that everybody was worried about.
Right.
Which typically now you don't often run into because of the processing that everybody does. They're very careful, ideally.
Right.
When we do nutritional counseling with initial clients, it is literally like a 20-minute, if not more, conversation with our people. And that's just one of the benefits, I think, of midwifery care is that you get so much more knowledge and preparation to have a healthy pregnancy. Besides just like walking in, getting your vitals and blood work done and somebody telling you something. It's like, here's the info, you do it now,
It's what I tell all of our clients, and I'm sure you do too. Our style of care is based on the midwifery model of care, where we're putting the power into the mom's hands. We are here to educate, inform, and make sure that they are aware of what is right, what is wrong, so that they can make the informed decision. And so, when it comes to nutrition, they have a nutrition questionnaire where we look at and we go over with them. There goes Scout.
If it's not a kid, it's an animal in this freaking house. Unbelievable. There's my lab. She's cute. On my bed. I'm gonna whoop her butt later.
So based on that, what they tell us, it starts out like what they had for breakfast and lunch and dinner yesterday, then what they had so far, and then it's really funny to see when they are put on the spot like that, because then they're like, oh my God, I didn't think. And when we tell them you've only had a bagel and cream cheese and it's like 2:00 in the afternoon, what are you doing?
Right. Exactly.
Then they get obviously more nutritional counseling, but that's how in order to keep them healthy, they have to be informed, because not everybody knows.
Right. And we can't go home with them. So they have to do a lot of the work themselves. But it's also part of the growth and transition from woman to mom. So absolutely a win-win, in my opinion.
And you'd be surprised how many moms have we had that they're having like their second or third baby, but the first time with us, they've had babies in the hospital or with someone else. And they're like, no one ever told me this. Like us.
Right.
We had the same experience. And
and now mind you, Sandy and I birthed in 2 different states. And we still didn't get the information. So it's not just like, by chance. This is like across the board. The medical system is lacking in educating women in pregnancy on nutrition.
Yes. Yep. Shame.
Yeah. So the next one, which is such a bunch of bologna, in my opinion, and everybody says it too. And then I don't want to argue, because it's like, oh, my grandmother was right. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to argue with your grandmother, heartburn and a hairy baby.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Everyone says it.
Right. And they truly believe that if they have heartburn, their baby's going to have a good amount of hair. I will tell you, I'm not a big heartburn person, but I had it. I'm playing with my light on my face, as you can see. I had it with my 5th child, so 4th pregnancy. And I had really bad heartburn, and all of my kids except my twins were bald. And I never had any heartburn with them. I never had any heartburn with anybody but William, and he was still bald. They were all bald except me. So
and both of my boys were completely bald, and I had the worst heartburn. Yeah. I feel like with my first, with Dylan, he gave me the worst acid reflux that I was like throwing up of how bad the heartburn was.
Oh yeah, I've had clients to have that. The reflux makes them vomit. Yes. I don't even know what that feels like.
Oh, it was terrible. I don't wish that on anyone. And then with the second one, the same thing. And I swore by papaya enzymes.
Yeah.
Side note, papaya enzymes are way better than Tums. Tums has way too much calcium that can actually calcify your placenta. So
artificial dyes, they have
artificial crap dyes your body doesn't need. Exactly. Yeah. And the papaya enzymes you can take all the time. But they were both bald, completely bald. like they have a full mane of hair now, but they were
Right.
so bald. Like there was like little.
We should cut in with a picture of the boys. I'm gonna cut in. You're gonna send me a picture and we're gonna cut in with the picture so you guys can see. I love her boy's hair. So yeah, so I find that one, although it's nice that people think that, I wouldn't put too much. I mean, maybe that helps them get through the heartburn. They feel like, oh, well, at least my baby will be a full head of hair. Maybe it makes them feel good. Because heartburn in pregnancy sucks. Oh, it sucks so bad. Okay, so the next one is, oh, you have a high belly, it's a girl, and you have a low belly, it's a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Although the tear-shaped belly, I've noticed, it is reflective of a lot of boys. But I don't know if that's.
But there's no like science behind it, is what I always say. I always tell moms, listen, your uterus tilts a certain way. Your abdomen in general is just built a different way than other people. You know, it really, there's a lot to do with like the muscles. For example, like I had low bellies both times, but I've had moms where they have these super low bellies and it's a girl.
Yeah.
So it's not across the board the same for everyone.
You know what else they used to say? I remember this just now. If your nose got really swollen and they took away your beauty, it was a girl. And if you looked beautiful and radiant when you were pregnant, it was a boy. I'm trying to think of my although I felt I did look the best with William. I actually looked I looked really healthy with the twins as well. And
it's hard for me to even say because I was really young with my first, so I probably had natural beauty anyways because I was young,
right?
For any reason, you know, my beauty was still like producing at that point. I was only 19, so I was.
You're like still in the regenerative mode, not the degenerative, exactly. Right?
And on my second, I feel like a lot of times I look like crap, but I was also, you know, going to births and staying up like half the damn night. So I don't know, you know.
Hard to say. That one will leave like a so-so. Oh, heart rates. Now, Sandy, we've talked about that, and we talk about it every single birth almost.
We do.
Now, during the pregnancy, I wouldn't hold much grain to this, but in labor, Sandy and I have found that when the baby's heart tones are low or just kind of like, you know, messing around a little bit, it's a freaking boy. They're pain. When it's like good, going, we're like, oh, whatever. This is a girl. She's fine. It's a girl. Handle it.
And we've been shocked before, like, but it's very rare that we see it the opposite. Like, and we'll tell moms, I'm like, oh, this one is acting like a boy, or this one's acting like a girl.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes they shock us. But yes, the wives' tale is low heart rate is a boy, high heart rate is a girl. So I kind of agree with that one.
That's fine.
On Labor Day, at least.
Yeah, I think.
My thing is, and I'm going to start, every time I talk about it, I always say, I'm going to start documenting it. And I've yet to do it. But when I do heart tones for a mom, early in pregnancy, it has to be like in their first trimester. If I can get heart tones super easy, it's a girl. If I have to dig around, it's a boy. And this is just my little, I told you this before.
I think I remember. Yeah. I haven't really like noticed anything on my end anyways.
One day I'm going to, maybe like when I'm older and I'm still doing this, I'll start documenting it and maybe write a little thing about it, but I don't know if it holds true. I always tell people I'm about 80% correct. And that's pulling it straight out of my ass. I really don't know if I'm 80% correct, but I feel like I'm good pretty much a lot of the time. So another one is, your cravings. If you crave sweets, it's a girl. If you crave salty, it's a boy. What if you crave freaking everything? Because that was me. Then you're having what?
Listen, I craved so much sweet, especially with my second boy. So, you know, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. I do remember when I was pregnant with Emily, she was my first one. I was working and I would go to work every day and order almost the same thing. It would be like a regular meal, like a sandwich, and then I would get a Twix. And that I had to have my Twix after my sandwich every single day. But then I don't remember much with Julie and the twins and Willie. I know William, the only thing I walked into Whole Foods and I wanted to vomit. And I got an Arby's. I hadn't done fast food in years. And I went to Arby's and I was craving a roast beef sandwich. I think I
Ooh,
might have either shat it out or barfed it out after, but at the time it was a win. So,
it's so
but I don't know
greasy.
if that
Arby's is so greasy.
Oh, God. Do you remember their roast beef sandwiches?
I do. I never had it because I haven't eaten meat in like almost like 16, 17 years, but
Yeah.
I have been there before for their turkey sandwiches, and their fries are just so greasy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
It was not what I remembered it when I was a kid. Let's just put it that way. So it came up shortly after. So that is all I have on pregnancy. So let's talk about some breastfeeding myths that are just
Well, to start
debunking.
with, I have moms that are occasionally telling me, "Oh my God, I don't see any milk." They're pregnant. They're still pregnant. I don't see any
Oh,
milk yet. And I'm like, "You're not supposed to see milk." Oh,
right.
because my friend was leaking at like 32 weeks. Well, that's rare.
Yeah.
And I try to explain this to moms. Like, it doesn't happen to everyone. You may not see anything. Even when the baby is born, you may not see anything.
Right. I
But
never did, except for the
right,
twins.
but science, evidence-based research shows that you start to produce colostrum around 28 weeks of pregnancy, and then you start to store it so that when the baby comes, you have enough stored
Right.
until your mature milk comes in, which can be anywhere between 3 to 7 days, depending on the birth, and there's a lot of depending
A lot
there.
of factors.
So, not a factor. So that's one, which starts in pregnancy. Then there's other ones like, oh, well, I'm flat chested. I'm like an A cup. I'm not going to be able to breastfeed. That's not true either. I have actually seen like A cups be more successful than like the larger size breasts, like D cups.
And why is that, Sandy? Because you told me once in it and I realized, oh, that makes sense.
Because it just depends on the type on your glandular tissue. Maybe your glandular tissue didn't push out, but you have enough there to produce enough milk.
Well, big boobs is also it's fat, right?
Right. The larger size breasts have more fat, and so I have in my career have seen sometimes more issues with really larger breasts because the fat can be very compacting and constricting to some of the glands and the vessels. So there you go. So if you're flat chested, doesn't mean anything. If you have a nipple ring, you just take it out. It's not going to cause anything. The other one is breast surgery. Oh, well, I had implants. I'm not going to be able to breastfeed. Well, just depends on if they put the implant behind the muscle or like where they, how long ago was your surgery. Even a breast reduction, I've seen a lot of moms be very successful because, sometimes they take out a little bit. We don't know how much they take out. And I always tell moms, how long ago did that happen? If it's been more than 10 years, your cells regenerate. And every menstrual cycle, you produce more glandular tissue to produce milk. So there's so many factors before just kind of like setting it, that's what it is. I always tell moms, you need to first try or at least work with someone that is experienced and skilled in helping you with these scenarios because every scenario is different,
Very true. Very true. I got small ninnies and I breastfed all my kids.
There you go. Exactly. You have to drink milk to produce milk. I actually had last week, she was like, I don't like milk and I haven't drank enough. Maybe that's why no. Cows eat grass all day and they produce milk. The breast work purely with stimulation. There is no evidence-based research that shows that. There's a lot of ones out there. Oh, you've got to eat oatmeal, right? So yeah, oatmeal sometimes it's considered because of the oats is considered a galactogol, but there's a lot of herbs out there like the mother's milk tea has fenugreek and it has brewer's yeast and it has all these different herbs. I can start taking all of these herbs right now every day religiously, and I'm probably not going to produce milk because I have to stimulate the breast in order for it to work. So, when I hear moms say, well, I'm taking all these herbs, but I'm not putting the baby to the breast, that's the problem. It works purely on stimulation.
So you need the combo. It's not that the herbs are not always helpful. It's that without the baby requesting it, it's not going to be effective. The herbs aren't going to be effective.
Exactly. Right. So another old wives' tale is if I am sad or depressed, I can't breastfeed.
Oh,
That's
yes.
absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, it's better that you do breastfeed because of the hormones that you produce to help you
Mhm.
relax, help the baby relax. And
Right.
whenever I have a mom that tells me that, like, let's say a mom, a few years ago, I had a mom that she had a family member pass away, and her
Mhm.
mom told her she had to stop breastfeeding, and I was like, absolutely not.
That's so
Um,
crazy to me.
yeah, well, they feel that when you are producing those stress hormones, you're passing in, and there's probably some science behind that, but you are producing love hormones with your baby too, which help to combat those. So I
Right.
always bring like the Holocaust. Okay, there were many stories of mothers. They didn't have food or water, but they were nursing their babies, and that's how their babies survived, was by
Right.
nursing.
Yeah.
So I know it's an extreme example, but it's something that you have to consider. So
Right.
that's one.
Exactly.
What else with breastfeeding? I'm trying to remember. There was another one
Oh,
at the.
I found one, and I'm actually, somebody recently asked me about it. I don't know if it's an old wives' tale. I think it was, and then it now has developed into a serious question. Um, Eating too much peanut butter can create a peanut allergy.
There are some science study. There are some studies behind that.
Yeah,
But they were doing studies on moms
because
who ate.
dude, I was like a peanut butter freak when I was pregnant.
Well, I was too, and my son has allergies.
Oh, see, thank God my kids do not. I got lucky, I guess.
I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich probably every single day when I was pregnant with him, and he is like deathly allergic to peanuts.
Oh
So
gosh.
that one I'm not sure, but I do remember reading some studies on it when we were finding out about his allergies, and they said that during the pregnancy, they create a resistance to it or something like that. So
Yeah. I just
yeah,
thought of a topic for next week, by the way, kind of related to this, but interesting enough. Okay.
okay.
Um,
With
I don't,
breastfeeding, uh-huh.
I'm trying to think. I don't think there
There's
was any other ones.
so there's a few other ones with breastfeeding.
Tell me.
Oh, if I eat beans, my baby's gonna have gas. Okay,
Oh,
well,
yes.
here's the rule of thumb. If you eat beans and the beans give you gas, then your body is not metabolizing it enough to pass through the breast milk. It might cause your baby gas.
Right.
That is the rule of thumb. I constantly have moms that are told by like different providers, oh, you have to stop. Like it's a list. It's like, what are you eating? You're not giving your body any nutrients because they literally take so much out of their diet. So, I often say to them, make sure that you do an elimination diet first. And whenever there's any issue that's going on with the baby, as far as like, congestion or a rash or there's any kind of signs of allergies, they have to work closely with someone. And you don't want to take so many things out at the same time because you don't know what it's going to be. You take things
Right.
out slowly, one
Right.
thing at a time to see what it is. If not, you're never going to know what it is.
And what's the rule of thumb on how many days? I think it's like what, 5 days or something you're supposed to give it before?
It's supposed to be 1 week to 1 to 2 weeks to really see a difference if your baby is allergic or having any kind of intolerance. Yeah.
Nice. What else you got?
Oh, we didn't talk about the spicy food.
I didn't even write it down. So basically, but I don't know what it was. Oh, that it would induce labor. Spicy
Right.
food induces labor. And I feel like with all things, remember when you are trying to get your baby out, you're at the end of pregnancy, you're tired. Usually your body is doing its own thing to get ready. And then you
Mhm.
start trying all these things. Well, eventually something is going to work. You're going to
Right.
go into labor. Like your body's going to say, okay, I got to have the baby has to come out. So whatever it happened to be that you did that last day, you're just going to say, oh, that worked. But what if it was just because that was the day you were going into labor? So yes, I have moms try to do spicy foods. I say, try it. It doesn't hurt. Eggplant is a big thing. Eggplant. I had one mom, she went for eggplant parm at the restaurant. Her water broke. So I
Well,
feel like,
I have some midwife. We know some midwives that recommend that, and I've recommended that before too. Believe it or not. So, um,
okay, sorry.
yeah.
What you've
So,
recommended what?
eggplant parmesan.
Yeah. that's one I might say
when I have a mom, we're at the end of like all of our options. I'm like, all right, we're gonna pull things out. We're just gonna try everything at this point.
Right. Well, right. Exactly.
Like, so some moms are told not to eat spicy food at all. But like I was saying before, some cultures, that's what their palate is used to spicy foods.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're like if you're used to eating spicy like peppers or spicy spices and stuff like that, if you're used to it and your body is used to metabolizing it, it's not going to change really during pregnancy. You just gotta play it how you feel. Like if you eat it and it bothers you, then stop eating it. And
well, it's the idea behind what do I eat when I'm breastfeeding is the same things you were able to eat while you were pregnant.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, so I think spicy food for me and bumpy car ride. Well, that goes back to pregnancy, but bumpy car ride. Sandy and I have figured out that if all else fails, go for a long bumpy drive because you never know.
Right.
You never know.
Let's see. I think that pretty much, as far as old wives' tales, like these are pretty much the most common ones that we've heard and that we often discuss with our clients. If there's like any other ones that people want us to discuss, just leave it in the comments and we can respond to you.
Subscribe.
And subscribe because we're excited for more videos.
I think if you guys don't give us a good topic, what I was thinking of for next topic uncut would be, let's talk about COVID. There are some studies coming out with COVID during pregnancy, and then there are some protocols that are being implemented at hospitals that the evidence and the protocols don't match up. Mm-hmm. And this is why we are being flooded with phone calls and clients, because they kind of have a natural intuition that it might not be right. They're not comfortable with it. And now the research is showing that they might be correct with that. So I would love to talk about that at our next episode or anything.
Yeah.
So
I think we should definitely talk about that and talk about things that moms should talk about with their provider before they give birth, and going back to like birth plans and knowing and being educated on what they can and cannot do. Like they always have a right to choose and make decisions for their body and their baby. And they should know this before they get there. And then they're bombarded with information while they're in labor.
Yeah, it's not the time. You cannot make proper decisions when you're in labor.
You're vulnerable, you're overwhelmed, you're in pain. It's not, yeah.
Right. So, so that is it for this week's Midwives Uncut. We hope you guys like it, and we will see you next week, 2 weeks.